Welcome. I'm so looking forward to welcoming our students back on campus this fall. Certainly, one of the things I miss most about this past year was not being able to see our students. And I look forward so much to being able to run into students in the hall, to meet them in our cafe, in the dining room, even in the neighborhood. I live here on 120th Street in Amsterdam, and certainly enjoy seeing people just on the sidewalk, in the stores, and the restaurants around the neighborhood. It hasn't been the same, and I can't wait to get back to everyday TC life. Now, we know that we will be welcoming new students to TC for the first time, as well as welcoming back continuing students whose studies were interrupted in March 2020. And we're also welcoming back continuing students who began their studies this past year and who may never have been to campus. So we have lots of welcoming to do. Tom Rock and his team in the Division of Student Affairs have been hard at work thinking about this and putting together programming as we prepare to welcome back, orient, and refamiliarize our students to campus life. You will hear more about this in a bit from the Student Services staff members. We know that one of the reasons you chose TC was to be in New York and to be on our campus. And we are committed to making sure that you have a positive and successful student experience. Most importantly, that you have a safe experience. Now, members of our staff are here today to walk through the existing policies and to answer your questions. Thank you to those of you who submitted questions ahead of time. Our staff members will incorporate your answers to many of your questions in their remarks. And also feel free to add questions in the chat box, and we will answer as many as we can at the end of the program. Now, we expect that some policies and procedures are evolving and that there will be additional student town halls so that we can address them and continue to communicate with you. Also, please visit the preparedness website for additional information and updates. That is the go-to website for our up-to-date information. You can access this through the TC homepage. Now I want to introduce our wonderful Provost and Dean of the College, Stephanie Rowley.
Thank you, Tom. So I share your excitement about getting back to campus. I was on campus all day today, and it was so wonderful to see all of the faculty, staff, students, everyone who is milling around and getting refamiliarized with campus. It's been really fun to watch the joyful reunions among friends and colleagues. So it's such a festive kind of a sense on campus. Good news is that everyone on campus is wearing their masks and following our COVID health protocols. What I had not expected was how challenging it was to get back to the office and make sure everything was up and running. So this week has been filled with figuring out computers and other kinds of things, but really grateful for our IT and other support staff who've been there to help us get back to normal. So all summer, we've been approving requests for students and instructional staff to attend classes remotely. So some groups, like advanced doctoral students, folks who are basically done with their coursework, were given approval. Other students with health concerns or students who had trouble with travel, so especially those who are unable to get visas, were also given exceptions. For all of those requests, they ran through our return to campus at tc.columbia.edu email address. So if you still need to get clearance to engage in your courses remotely for some reason, you need to send an email to that address. We had about 500 students who were given exceptions and again allowed to take their traditional courses remotely. And I just want to make it clear that this option is not an option exactly, but it's really for those students who cannot get to campus for various reasons. So that means if you're not vaccinated, that remote instruction is not an option if you're in traditional classes. So just to repeat, if you're not vaccinated, then this remote option is not for you, and we need to get you vaccinated so that we can get you back on campus. And we're going to be sending out some emails to give you more instruction on how to make sure that your vaccination records are up to date with us. It's also important that you're not asking your professors or the support staff in departments for permission. You have to send an email to this Return to Campus email address. We really want to make sure that everyone has a great experience. We want to make sure that classrooms are filled. We want to avoid faculty showing up to their classrooms and finding that everyone is remote, or even the reverse, that people who they expected to be remote are showing up in person. So we want to make sure that everyone's prepared for the classroom. We've done all kinds of things to prepare for you to join us in the classroom. That includes upgrading the technology in the classroom. That includes preparing faculty to know who's going to be in their classroom and how they're joining. And also our Digital Futures Institute group has been working with faculty to make sure that they have the most cutting edge tools for the sort of instruction that they'll be delivering. I assure you, as President Bailey said, that we're watching everything with the Delta variant. We are prepared to make changes to these policies as we get recommendations from the CDC, from the Department of Health, and other organizations. We're also working closely with Columbia University. And these are our policies for now. Want to assure you that we're taking every precaution, and we are so ready to welcome you back to campus. Next, Vice Provost Dr. Tom Rock is going to join us to talk more about these policies.
Okay, thank you so much, Provost Rowley and President Bailey. I also echo the enthusiasm of really the excitement that we all have for welcoming you back to campus. Good evening to all of you, good afternoon, and good morning to those of you who are joining us today from various time zones around the world. It's so great to see so many students logged onto our last student town hall meeting before the start of the fall 2021 semester. I too, again, I'm so excited about welcoming you back to campus. We have been working really hard to prepare for your arrival, your return for many of you. We really can't wait for the opening of the semester. I am on campus right now. I'm in my office. All of our student affairs offices are open and our staff members are back on campus. Our offices will be staffed 5 days a week. You don't have to worry about that. And our offices are located in an accessible location here on campus in what we're calling the 528 building, which is right between Zankel Hall and Thompson Hall. There's a driveway that's so easy, and just easy access to all of your student affairs offices, as well as many other offices and even some faculty and academic departments in this building as well. And so, there have been several questions from students that have come in about, how are we keeping the community safe? What are we doing to assure the safety? And we have just done a tremendous amount of work. Our facilities team looking and reviewing all of the ventilation systems on campus, updating those ventilation systems on campus. So I know that there was some concern from students about just air quality. All of those systems have been tested and updated. So you can be assured that that's something that we've taken the time to do during this really unprecedented time for us. Also, students have been asking us about masking policies. And you'll see on the college preparedness site that we are requiring all TC community members to wear a face covering while in any of our indoor spaces. And so this is for all individuals, whether vaccinated or perhaps receiving an exemption from the vaccine, but this will just continue to protect all of us and protect our community and each other. So face coverings are required in our indoor spaces, including the classrooms. Our faculty members will have the option of wearing a face covering while they're teaching, as long as they are appropriately socially distanced from the students in their classes. Face coverings will be optional in our outdoor outdoor settings here on campus. These policies, the masking policy is also consistent with the masking policy on the Columbia University main campus as well. Students are also asking us about social distance policies in offices and classrooms and common spaces. If your class has an enrollment of, say, like 20, 25 students in it, that's what you can expect to be in that class, with the exception of what Provost Rowley said. Maybe there will be a few students who've been approved for remote instruction who will be attending that in-person class but won't actually be there. But for the most part, if your enrollment number is, 20, 25, that's what you should be expecting to be in the classroom. We are obviously watching guidelines, continuing to watch those guidelines. If anything should shift, if anything should change, we will also be doing that on campus as well. Our office procedures, right? Like you'll see some office procedures on some staff members. You'll see some blue social distancing, especially if offices are really high traffic offices where they might need some people to queue up. So that might be a little different than what we were used to in the past. So don't be surprised when you see some of the social distancing decals around the college. That's really there for all of our protection and safety. And you'll see that as you're interacting with some of our different offices on campus. Our facility staff has done a great job with those markings on campus as needed. Many have asked us just about safety in the area, right? We're all reading the news and just safety in general. I can tell you that Teachers College, we're located in one of the safest precincts in New York City, the 26th precinct. Crime in this area has dropped in this last year. But obviously we are in a major metropolitan area. We're asking everyone to be vigilant and to be aware of their surroundings. I think most New Yorkers and people coming to New York City are. But we do have public safety patrolling the area, public safety from Teachers College, Columbia University main campus public safety, and even Barnard College. Public safety patrol officers are in the area either on foot or sometimes even in car from Columbia and Barnard. And also late night when classes are over, we often will see our students just going together, walking together from their late evening course to the subways, to the buses, to other ports of transportation. And so that's just something that we will continue to encourage. We also have, there's an escort service that students can utilize through either Columbia University, the transportation site, to request an escort off campus, or walking to the subway, or proximity in the neighborhood. So we do encourage our students to access the escort service whenever possible as well. And something that I've been taking advantage of is the availability of extended services for the Columbia University shuttle. I encourage everyone to look at that. I live in Lower Manhattan and was able to actually walk to the Columbia University shuttle on 14th Street, get on that shuttle with a reserved ticket and reserved seat, and ride all the way up to Morningside Heights. So this extended service, Columbia has extended this throughout the boroughs. There are locations and pickups. What I really like about it, especially if there's concern about taking the subway or a lot of people on the subway, the shuttle service, everyone is vaccinated or they received an exemption. So you're getting on a shuttle where it's really a continuation of this bubble that we are hoping to create. So that was really comforting for me, and I've been doing that now on a regular basis. So I encourage you to look at the shuttle, reserve your ticket, reserve your seat. It's a great way to commute up to the main campus from a variety of different places. There's pickup in Queens, Brooklyn, the East Side, really all over the tri-state area. And so let's see, we will also be open for food and drink. My colleague Dwayne White will be giving us a little bit more information about that. And, just continue to be patient with us as we all return and we're all get used to this new normal, but we are not to take away from the excitement that we all have to be back together. We just need to be back together safely and responsibly. And the college, we're all doing as much as we possibly can to make sure that that happens. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my colleague from the Office of Student Health and Wellness, Dr. Rachel Paykoff, who's our student health and wellness advocate. And Rachel will go over some really important information about the vaccination mandate and about PCR diagnostic testing to access campus. So let me turn it over to Rachel, because I know she's going to be able to provide you with so much critical and essential information. So can't wait to see you, and and any questions or anything that we can assist you with, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Take good care, and we will see you very soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rock, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be able for you to be able to join us today, and I look forward to seeing you all in person. Tonight, I'd like to share some information with you regarding Teachers College vaccination mandate as it pertains to you, the students. Research continues to support the safety of the COVID-19 vaccines authorized for use by the Federal Drug Administration, as well as the World Health Organization, and their real-world effectiveness against COVID-19. Recently, the Pfizer vaccination was FDA approved. Additionally, the university does anticipate that other vaccines currently authorized for emergency use in the United States will receive full FDA and WHO approval by the time the mandate takes effect. High vaccine coverage is extremely critical to preserving the health of TC and surrounding community. The Office of Student Health and Wellness has been processing vaccination records over the past few months, and we've been working extremely hard to get in touch with students regarding these policies. Students who intend to access campus for any reason must be fully vaccinated and submit proof of their COVID-19 vaccination at least 10 working days prior to entering campus to ensure adequate time for processing. It's extremely important to note that the COVID-19 vaccination, your records must be uploaded as soon as possible by visiting the TC Preparedness website or the Insurance and Immunization Records website. Once there, you'll have to follow the link for COVID-19 vaccination submission, complete the Google form, and upload your proof of vaccination for review. Please be sure to record your accurate dates of vaccination, and your vaccination image must be less than 10 megabytes, and vaccines must have been administered on or after December 1st, 2020. So the deadline to submit proof of vaccination was on August 1st, 2021. If you have not already, please do submit your proof of vaccination now to avoid any disruptions with your access to campus. Because as of August 16th, 2021, any individual who has not submitted their vaccination documentation or has not received an approved medical or religious exemption will have a red pass on the daily health screening, and you will not be able to access campus. It's also important to note that for our international students that will not be vaccinated before classes begin, or if your vaccine has not been WHO approved, you will be able to obtain the vaccination at either Columbia Health, or you can use the New York City Vaccination Finder. You must begin the vaccination process within 72 hours of entry into the United States. However, if you've received a vaccination within your home country that is not WHO approved, you must wait at least 28 days before beginning the vaccination process. While waiting to become fully vaccinated, you will have access to your residence if you're a residential student, and you will be able to access your courses remotely. Additionally, you will have to undergo weekly COVID-19 testing, and all COVID-19 PCR tests must be submitted to COVID student care at tc.columbia.edu. In accordance with the New York State public health laws, it is also important to note that the college will allow for medical and religious exemptions from Teachers College COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Students who cannot be vaccinated for COVID-19 because of a religious reason or sincerely held religious belief, practice, or observance must request an exemption through the Office of Student Health and Wellness. Students who wish to apply for a medical or religious exemption from the COVID-19 vaccination must complete and submit the appropriate exemption request form at least 15 days prior to the day of planned campus access to allow for processing. And again, please do reference the TC preparedness site as well as the insurance and immunization records website. If you've been approved for an exemption, you will have to submit weekly PCR COVID tests to COVID Student Care at tc.columbia.edu. And lastly, requesting a medical exemption does not equate to registration as an individual with a disability. If you require disability-related accommodations outside of this exemption, you must also go through the Office of Access and Services for Individuals with Disabilities and registration process. And their office can be contacted at oasid@tc.edu for more information. Our office did want to point out that booster shots, information on that is forthcoming, and Teachers College will have more information on you with that regard in the coming months as well. For the fall semester, this coming semester, we are requiring that all individuals, including those vaccinated, will need to complete the COVID-19 testing requirement as well. If this is your first time coming to campus, a PCR diagnostic test administered within 14 days of your arrival is required for access to campus. Students also are still required to complete the COVID-19 health and safety training and daily screening, and this is very important that you must do all of these requirements in order to access campus. TC is currently accepting PCR tests that are not administered within Columbia Health. You will not need to wait until you're on campus to obtain a PCR test, as long as it is a PCR test. Also, our office would like to point out, because we are an affiliate of Columbia University, that Columbia University is currently operating 6 locations that provide vaccinations to Columbia affiliates, 5 of which can offer vaccines to their family members as well as to other patients. Morningside campus, appointments at Lerner Hall on main campus can be made through Columbia Health, and booking an appointment can be done with the scheduling section of the Columbia Health patient portal. It is important to note that all appointments are subject to vaccine ability, and walk-in appointments may also be available. If you have any more questions regarding the COVID-19 testing vaccination process, please do not hesitate to contact us at COVID Student Care at tc.columbia.edu. And lastly, I did just want to highlight the currently accepted vaccines: AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, Johnson & Johnson Janssen, Moderna, Pfizer BioNTech, Sinopharm, and Sinovac. Thank you so much. And I would like to introduce Denise Bonetta, the Director of Graduate Student Life and Development.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. So hi, everyone. Like Rachel said, my name is Denise Bonetta. I am the Director of Graduate Student Life and Development here at Teachers College, and I am so excited to see you all soon on the first day of classes. I'll start off talking to our new students. So first and foremost, congratulations. Congratulations on your acceptance and your decision to come to Teachers College. I want to note that we've been sending you a lot of emails recently, making sure that you know about our upcoming orientation offerings. So first and foremost, make sure that you've logged into your orientation portal or student engagement portal. Our portal shares, so it starts off as your orientation portal, but then it becomes your student engagement portal to access throughout your time here at Teachers College. That portal has a full list of orientation programs that are available to you. Some of those programs require registration, so it's important that you go in and click to make sure that you can register. But most of our programs are actually just fully available to you as soon as you log in. On the portal, you'll find your academic welcome sessions with your specific program. And so if you go in, click that button, just make sure that you're finding when your program's welcome session is and that you have that on your calendar. I'll go through a little bit more of the details of what we're offering. So we do have our new Canvas course. So Canvas is our learning management system, and our course is called TC Foundations. So this course really takes you through every aspect or every resource you need to be familiar with to be successful here at Teachers College. Gives you an in-depth overview of each office, how to contact them, and some pro-student tips as it was written by some of our student employees. Our TC Foundations course, some of our other students who are returning to us said that they would find that really helpful. So we actually just sent it out in a recent newsletter that you can enroll in that course voluntarily. So new students, you're automatically enrolled, but any student who wishes to have access to this course and would find it helpful, you can enroll yourself. If you have questions about that, just email our office. I'll drop our email later. So another thing to note is that during the weeks of August 30th and September 7th, Graduate Student Life and Development and some of our friends in TC Next are going to be in Everett Lounge. Everett Lounge is right when you access TC's campus, right through the main entrance. It's right on the left, I believe, yes. And so when you go in there, we'll be there. We'll have lots of free giveaways from Metro cards to Padfolios to T-shirts. We're going to have a campus map for you because TC's campus can be a little confusing to navigate. And we're just there to provide a warm welcome as you enter campus for the first time. That will be available to new students and our new to campus students, as we realize that you didn't get to have that experience last year. You'll get an email about that directly, about how to register for a time to swing by. And so now for our Welcome Week programs. This week starts off our doctoral student welcome that takes place on Thursday and Friday. That's just a chance for doctoral students to hear specifically about resources for them and what to expect from their journey. Then we start with our large NSO program on Monday, August 30th. That night is our NSO 360 program. This program is an annual event that is essentially your welcome to Teachers College. The topic this year is reopening a city behind the scenes with New York City leaders. We have leaders from Madison Square Garden, LaGuardia Airport, arts and cultural centers, and other areas of the city to talk about what it's been like to reopen the city. And we're kind of going to discuss how it mirrors reopening a college. We'll have a faculty panel that follows that to discuss how TC can take this conversation and examine it through every lens. So we really, really encourage not only our new students attend, but all TC community members, as we'll be emailing that opportunity out to all of you, and it will be a YouTube link, kind of like this event. Then all new students are invited to meet with the president and provost during the week of August 30th. So that is RSVP required. There is limited space. So if that's something that interests you and you're a new student, make sure right after this event you go on and you register for that event. It is a great opportunity. I facilitate them all, so I am biased. But it's a really great time just to get to know President Bailey and Provost Rowley and get to feel that sense of belonging to campus so quickly. We're hosting panels Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so those panels will be featured on specific areas of what you need to know as a new student with different offices represented. The day following the panel, there are actually going to be drop-in hours virtually, so on Zoom, for you to meet with those administrators and ask any follow-up questions you might have from the panel, or if you have any personal questions with some of the related offices. We're doing a digital social on Wednesday night because what's life these days without a digital social? So we hope you join us there just so you get to meet new students, because a lot of the program is talking at you, but we do want you to talk with one another. And then, you know, if you're a new to campus student, but you want a refresher on some of these panels, we're going to send you an email later this week highlighting opportunities specifically available to you, and then also how to access some of this information. If you're a new student, your engagement portal is all you need. When you log on there, the Zoom calls will be embedded in there, the YouTube links for our panels, everything will be there. So that's just your one-click link, and you have everything that you need. Just a quick note, we have extended orientation events. So those are going to take place throughout September. We have our Digital Advocacy Academy open to all TC community members, including faculty and staff. So that'll be on September 8th and September 9th from 4 to 7. We're going to have alumni, student leaders, and some really amazing representatives like U.S. Representative Jamal Bowman, New York Senator Jessica Ramos, and New York State Assembly Member Khalil Anderson. Be sure to RSVP, and we're going to throw up the registration link. We have campus tours taking place the week of September 13th and September 20th, led by various staff members. That's both for new students and new to campus students to register for. We have New York City walking tours all across Brooklyn, various parts of Manhattan, for you to get to know the city that you'll now be living in. We're going to have an involvement fair on September 21st and 22nd for you to get to know the student orgs. And we're going to do that both in person and virtually. And we're going to do an outing to Yankee Stadium to welcome our students with children, as we know your children are also transitioning back to New York City, and we want to give some joy to that experience. Plus, we have various events hosted by College Events, who's also hosting this call right now, to just give that excitement and cheer for all students who are returning and going to be with us on campus. So there's so much going on. We send you regular communications. GSLD does a newsletter once a week. So we just ask that you really read through those emails. There are some fantastic and amazing opportunities there. And so if you read, and just make sure you register for those events, as RSVP is going to start being required at many events, just as we ensure that the health and safety protocols are being met. Student org events. So if you're a student org leader, student organization leader training launched today. And so please engage with that content, as it outlines a lot of the new health and safety procedures that you need to be mindful of. We are encouraging all student orgs to host both virtual and in-person events this year. For in-person events, we're going to be limiting it to 2 in-person events per student organization. This is just to make sure that, you know, we're really following all the procedures in place, that GSLD has the capacity for that, and make sure that the in-person events that you are doing are done the best that they can be. With that, in all of student services and student affairs, we're going to be mirroring that. So we're going to do a lot of hybrid programs. So some virtual programs, some in-person programs, to make sure that we're connecting with students both on campus and off campus, especially our students who won't be joining us on campus this year. We're really excited about that. A lot of students were able to access us even more being virtual. So we're going to do that with both programs and meetings. So when you're meeting with an administrator, they're now going to start probably asking you, do you want this meeting to be virtual or on campus? So you have that flexibility and that option if commuting to campus or being on campus all the time isn't something that is able for you to do. And then just quickly about academic life and other aspects of the college. So make sure the modality and location of your class. That's really important. So you could see that by looking at your class schedule on the MyTC portal. Libraries, we get a lot of questions about them. They've remained open throughout the pandemic. So big shout out to our librarians for doing that and keeping that service open for all students. TC students have access to the Gottsman libraries and then also at the CU libraries. I just recommend that you check out their websites before you attend the libraries so you know the protocols in place or anything that you need to be or to do or be aware of before you attend. So please go to their websites and check those out. If you have any questions, the librarians are always happy to answer before you go. And then we have a lot of questions about fitness and the Dodge Fitness Center. So all TC students do have access to Columbia's fitness center, which is called Dodge Fitness Center. They do have some activities that may require a fee, like intramurals. But if you go to their website, it has all that information listed out on there, and you could see that there, and you could contact their staff directly if you have any specific questions about the services they provide. So that was a lot of information from me. I'm going to hand it over to Dwayne White, but I'll see you later all for Q&A. Dwayne?
Hi, good evening. I'm Dwayne White. I'm the Executive Director of Campus Services and would like to share some quick updates, on card services, dining services, and residential services. For card services, we ask that everyone upload their photos in advance so that we can pre-print your ID card to expedite distribution. And you can do that via the card services homepage. If you did not pick up your ID card this past year, we still have your card available for pickup, or it can be mailed to you. Anyone who wishes to have their ID card mailed to them should visit the card services website for more details. Dining services. I'm really excited to announce this fall we have a new dining vendor on campus which will be offering many new and exciting options, which will include grab-and-go options in both the Grace Dodge Dining Hall and the Everett Cafe. We will have a meal plan available for students. Please stay tuned for more details. We're still working very hard to get everything open for the fall. For residential services, we have a few housing spaces still available. If you're interested in housing, please email us immediately at housing@tc.columbia.edu to let us know your interest. Next week is our big move-in, August 30th through September 3rd. Please make certain you've scheduled your move-in as appointments are required and should be done through our housing portal. Friends and family members are available, can assist with the move-in, but they will need proof of vaccine or have a recent negative PCR test. Everyone is required to submit proof of COVID vaccine to live in TC housing. This includes anyone aged 12 and up in our family housing. Weekly COVID testing will be required for anyone exempt from the vaccine. Testing may be also required for others. We are looking at random tests, so that is an option. All of our common spaces will be open. We hope to have our fitness rooms open by October 1st. Face coverings will always be required in our communal spaces, hallways, and elevators. Our facilities staff will continue with enhanced cleaning throughout our buildings. Guests will be allowed in the residence halls this year, but they will be required to follow our COVID safety protocol, including proof of COVID vaccine. Our community development staff is working hard to prepare our new resident orientation, as well as planning our in-person and online events for the residents. If you have any questions, please email me at white@tc.edu. I look forward to seeing you soon. Now here's Patricia Gibson to talk about International Student Services. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Gibson, and I am the Senior Associate Director at the Office of International Students and Scholars. Staff at the OISS is here to provide immigration regulatory advising, issuance of your Form I-20 DS 2019, and to support the successful completion of your studies while at Teachers College. We understand that this past year posed many challenges to international students who were impacted by travel restrictions due to COVID-19. The spread of COVID-19 has severely impacted routine visa processing services at U.S. consulates and embassies. But we have good news. U.S. embassies and consulates around the world are resuming phased reopenings, keeping the safety of staff and applicants as their priority. While backlogs and delays have been reported, student non-immigrant applications are being prioritized, and approximately 34% of embassies and consulates are offering visa interviews within 2 weeks. We recommend contacting the U.S. consulate or embassy directly regarding specific instructions and requirements regarding your visa interview. I would like to briefly remind international students on the process of obtaining their F1 or J1 documentation from our office. If you have been admitted for the fall 2021 term, please contact the OISS directly to inquire about obtaining your Form I-20 or DS 2019. You can send us your inquiry at tcintl@tc.columbia.edu so we can discuss and guide you through this process of obtaining documentation. For those of you who have already secured all of your F1 or J1 documents, we encourage you to plan ahead when making your travel arrangements. For instance, airline companies have COVID testing documentation requirements prior to boarding the aircraft. Check with the individual airlines for further information. Additionally, CDC has implemented negative COVID testing requirements for passengers arriving to the US. As of January 26, 2021, CDC requires all passengers entering the US to get tested no more than 3 days before their flight departs and to present the negative result or documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to the airline before boarding the flight. For more information regarding this requirement, please refer to the CDC website. We would also like to reiterate international students regarding the TC vaccination requirement. We encourage all students to get vaccinated as soon as they are able to, but we do recognize the challenges in some international destinations and the lack of vaccine availability. If you have questions or concerns regarding your vaccination status or return to campus, please contact COVID Student Care at tc.columbia.edu. The team at the Office of Student Health and Wellness can assist you and help you connect with CU Health if you are completing the vaccination process after arrival to the US and before the start of classes. Lastly, as Denise previously mentioned, the OISS will be participating in the digital orientation. We look forward to meeting you during the week of August 30 to share information regarding F1 and J1 visa status and employment eligibility. I would like to now reintroduce Dr. Thomas Rock and hand it over to him.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gibson, and thank you for all of the work that you and your team and OISS do to support our international students on their safe return to campus. Thank you. So you have now met many members of our student affairs team and other colleagues from student service offices at TC. But there are a few other student affairs team members that you will interact with who did not present today, and I just wanted to quickly mention them. Karen Ross and Jonathan Johnson from our Student Health and Wellness Office. You probably received some emails, perhaps, from both of them. Ashley Smallwood, who is our director of our TC Next office, which is our reimagined, reorganized, rebranded, re-everything office for career education. And Karen Kelly, our manager of administrative services, who coordinates so many of our operational areas within the Division of Student Affairs. So these are just a few other student affairs team members that you will undoubtedly get to know when you're back on campus. Okay, so let's get to your questions. I know that there are so many, so I will turn it back over to Denise, who's going to help facilitate questions and funnel the questions to the appropriate team member. So Denise.
Great. Let's wait till everybody's back on screen. Okay, I think this is everyone. So what's going to happen is the questions that you all threw in the YouTube chat will appear on this screen. I'll read them out loud, and then the appropriate person on this panel will respond to the question. So whenever we're ready. Great. First question. With the rise in the Delta variant cases, is there a chance we will go online at all this semester? Or is the vaccination and other precautionary methods enough to combat that? Tom, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I mean, we are following the guidelines so closely, obviously monitoring everything that's happening, in the world, in our region as well. We're in close contact with our colleagues at Columbia Health, public health officials, also in touch and with what's happening at the state level, even the national level. So we're going to do everything possible to just continue our operations as they are with our return to campus. That is our goal, but we will certainly be vigilant and we will stay abreast of what's happening. And should some things shift, if we have to make those shifts, we'll do so in a safe way. But our goal and our intention is to remain on campus. We know that's something that is important for you. It's important for all of us, as long as we can do that safely.
Great. Are the in-person classes ready to be recorded for those who may not be feeling well or needing to quarantine? Provost Rowley, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So there are many classrooms that are set up for easy recording, and we're going to encourage the faculty to do that as often as possible. It is unlikely that every course will be able to be recorded, and so I think you should check with the faculty member when you start the course. So we don't necessarily have some of the smaller courses don't have cameras in the room.
Will there be contact tracing, particularly given the number of TC students who work in schools and are likely to be exposed? Tom?
Sure. So if we do have a positive case on campus, yes, there will be contact tracing. Our Office of Environmental Health and Safety is prepared to do that, and anyone exposed, anyone exposed to the virus will be notified. So yes, there is contact tracing and reporting that we are required to do should we have a positive case on campus.
How does campus security contribute to school safety? What exactly is their role in that overall process? So I don't know who from this group would want to take that question. I feel like we could have a whole dialogue about it, but leave it open to whoever wants to respond.
I mean, one thing that I might add is that I think it's really important to note is that our public safety members are true and full members of the Teachers College community. They are not police officers, so they are such great members. Members of our public safety team have gotten the Community and Civility Award. Several of our public safety members have gotten that. It's something I think that we're all really very, very proud of. Some of the public safety officers are actually alumni of Teachers College. One who I know specifically has earned his doctorate, so I call him Dr. Public Safety when I see him. But so yeah, these are members of our community who care passionately about the health and safety for everyone. That was just something that just came to mind that I wanted to point out, that these are not local law enforcement officials or anything.
And something to add is public safety did invite Student Senate to be a part of a committee to have this conversation about how public safety can better engage with students and think about their role on campus. So we had 2 senators go to the meetings this year. So if you're interested in that conversation, I definitely recommend reaching out to Student Senate. How often would I need to submit a negative PCR test to access campus? I'm already vaccinated and I have already submitted a negative PCR test and proof of vaccination. Rachel, do you want to take this one?
Sure, absolutely. So any student that already submitted the COVID-19 vaccine, as well as the negative PCR test within 14 days of returning to campus, does not need to submit anything at this time. However, as Dr. Rock did point out throughout this discussion today, that is forthcoming. If there are any updates, you will be receiving emails, whether from the Office of Student Health and Wellness or directly from the Division of Student Affairs with any updates about testing and what needs to move forward throughout the semester with the continued rise with the Delta variant, as well as any variants that may come up as well.
When is the deadline to submit results from a COVID-19 test? So I can quickly echo what Rachel just said. So it's 14 days before you arrive to campus. So if you've been on campus this summer, there's not a requirement to submit another test. But if this is your first time, it's 14 days to the day. And then we recommend that you submit it, how many business days in advance before coming? Is it 2?
At least 2. We are asking if students received it, just given our office, how many students we are servicing, over 5,000, even 5 to 7. The sooner you send it to our office, the sooner you will get an email back from our office. And we are always on our COVID student care email. If you have any questions about that, submitting that, as well as the form to submit that as well to our office.
Great. Was the air quality in student housing evaluated and improved? What would happen if my suite mate tests positive for COVID? So Dwayne.
So if your suite mate tests positive for COVID, we would require everyone in that suite to self-isolate. Now, we do have rooms set aside for self-isolation quarantining in URES. That's every room would have its own bathroom. We would work with the suite to determine if it's best to have everyone stay in their suite or move to one of the rooms in URES. But every room, in terms of air quality, all the rooms in Whittier, there's no central air system here, so it really wouldn't be an air quality issue. Residents could, get air purifiers for their own rooms if they wanted. But in terms of quarantining, we do have spaces set aside to have people move to. or they could self-isolate in their suite. We would work with them individually on that.
If you have already uploaded a photo, can you go ahead and pick up your ID card?
You can come and pick up your ID card. It should be already printed and ready, or we can mail it to you.
Great. Is there a day where students get to see all the clubs available? A question for me. Yes, so that is the involvement fair that I talked about. So September 21st and September 22nd. We're going to base them on the theme of the clubs. So the 21st, I think, will be identity-based and social-based clubs. And then the following day will be more academic and pre-professional focused. It'll be both in person and virtual, and more information's to come. So just read the GSLD newsletter. Are there spaces on campus and or the libraries that can accommodate students who might have a mixture of online and in-person classes and need to interact on Zoom? Tom?
Sure. So great question. Yes, we will have spaces on campus for students to do this. We understand that, some classes, if you have an in-person class scheduled, say from 5:10 to 6:50, and maybe you have class that's an online class that starts at 7:20, there's not going to be enough time necessarily for you to get back home and commute and log back on to the class. So we will have spaces on campus for students to be able to Zoom in if they're trying to log on to a remote class that's already been coded as being remote.
What do we need to do to access accommodations for learning disabilities? Tom, do you want to take this one too?
Sure. So yes. So it's the OASID office, and we can make sure we can put in the chat perhaps the link to OASID where anyone can register with them and provide the proper documentation to then be considered for an accommodation. Denise, you want me to put that in the chat?
Yeah, I think
I can do that.
I'm an international student arriving next month and will be submitting a COVID-19 test to access campus. Will I need to submit another COVID test again once I arrive in the United States? Rachel?
So from my understanding, if you submit one within 14 days of arriving to campus, that is it for now. Again, like I stated a few minutes ago, we will be in contact with you if we do require additional testing for students that have also submitted COVID-19 vaccination, as well as a negative PCR test within 14 days of coming back to campus.
Great. Can I use my Columbia Alumni ID photo for my TC ID? Dwayne?
If you are a Columbia undergraduate, if you graduated from Columbia and you're coming to TC as a student, you would want to have a TC ID card. You can only have one or the other. And so we advise you to take the TC one, and on the back of the card, it would have TC student as well as Columbia alumni.
Perfect. I think that might be all the questions that we have. Oh, Dwayne, did you have something?
Hey, Denise, going back to the suite question, just to let everyone know, if you are living in a suite, the suites are at 50% occupancy. So if you're in a 6-person suite, there's only 3 people living in that suite. We did that so that we would minimize the need to move people.
Great. Okay, so those are all the questions that we have. I want to thank everybody on this panel for being here, giving so much information to students and answering these questions. I want to give a big thank you to Lisa and Kathy for being our interpreters for the event, Soleil, who's running, and Kira, who are running the event behind the scenes. So many people to be here, but we are just so excited to have you all back on campus and to begin this academic year. Should you have any questions after this panel, just email returntocamPus@tc.edu and somebody will be in touch shortly to answer your question. We hope you all have a great rest of your night, day, And we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. See you soon.